I told you that part of my independence is I don't want to feel somebody's keeping me. I don't want to feel that I can only have something because of somebody else. I don't want to feel that I've been given something I haven't worked for, right? A bribe I've not worked for.
CTA with Patricia, video 5.
Edutainment is how you pass information in an entertaining way. Our guest is the queen of edutainment. Hey, we're laughing here. But I don't want you to miss the nuggets and the lessons that she's saying within that. She's talking about relocating back to Kenya because of the help that we have here. A lot of people talk about going maju. On this CTA show, I've got something called the Diaspora Series, where I have conversations with people in the diaspora.
Yeah.
So in an essence, to remind them of home and to remind home of them. To be that bridge, not really remind them. To show this side and for this side to understand even the progress that has happened back home. What you're talking about is such a crucial thing. The house helps and the help that we get here, even the community and the support that you get here, especially in the time of childbirth or having a baby, and especially the first. That was actually a decision that triggered you guys to decide to come home. And did you come home with your husband?
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's crazy. So you come home what year?
Ah, God. Now these years. You know, you're asking me to think. You're asking me to think at this hour. This was 96, maybe?
96.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So you come back. Now you become a mother. What's that like? First time?
I mean, it was easy for me. You know, when I come home, being a mother for me was easy. Especially because you've got two maids. So my mother came in. She had the one she had found was looking after my nephew. She said, now he's big enough, he's grown up, he's 2. Now that one could move. Actually, that nanny who stayed with us one day, she stayed with me until my eldest daughter was 13 and the other one was 11. So I stayed with her for many years.
Yeah,
I even went with her to South Africa, did everything else. So she actually stayed with the children. You know?
That again, I'd say, that help and support that you get back.
Yes.
It's absolutely crucial for existence.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
And it made a difference because remember I came back. I was only around for, I think 3 years.
Okay, so when you come back, you go back to Unilever?
Yes, back at Unilever. And I'm promoted now, marketing manager. Remember, there was a pathway that I had. I was going to become the marketing director.
Yeah.
So I was fast. I mean, I was very clear. That was my end game.
And at that time, the organization doesn't want to lose you, huh?
No. Unilever was brilliant. They could keep you forever. You were getting long service awards by the gallons. You know, they were. It's not like today where there's today's workplace, people don't stay in jobs. In fact, you don't even want to stay in a job. In fact, if I had the opportunity to, I'd be changing jobs every 3 years if I could. I'd do the millennial thing because the exposure it gives you, the difference. You know, the days are gone where it was actually a plus. Because of the way the world is changing so often now, it's even become more of a plus. No, you can't say somewhere 6 months because that also shows you're not cutting your teeth. But 2 to 3 years makes sense because you've gone through a few cycles of reviews and proving yourself. Because if you were shit, you'd have been thrown out by the first year.
True that.
So it means you've done something, right? But what it allows, it shows you versatility. It shows versatility in a person. It shows adaptability. At least for me, that's the way I look at it. Because if you're able to move from one organization, settle, go to another organization, prove. It means by the time you're coming, you're sharing a broader bit of experience. But in the past, you stayed in one place and you grew within it. And if you had an organization that allowed you to do that, then you go with the flow. And that was what Unilever was. Because even though I was in that organization, I never did the same job more than 3 years.
The amount of brands that you had.
Yes, but it was never the same job.
Okay.
You know, you're a brand manager, then you're a brand manager in the UK, then you come back, you're marketing manager of a particular category. Home care.
What category were you?
Home care, which is the Omo, the key soaps, all those type of things, you know, Vim, you know, that type of things. Then you go to South Africa. I went to South Africa as the head of an innovation center for the region. Totally different job.
Wow.
You know, then come back, you're the marketing director for the portfolio, after which then I left.
Yeah. Because you had achieved your goal.
Yeah, I'd achieved my goal.
This time when you come back, you're marketing manager.
Yes.
This is 96 around there.
Yes.
What's the landscape looking like? For example, I'm thinking about it from a TV perspective. KTN
Very
is
different.
coming in.
Oh, those are the days of Omo Picker Box. That's when we created Omo Picker Box. Martin Burrow was my colleague.
You
Yes.
were part of the people behind
Yeah,
Omo Picker Box.
well, Omo Picker Box people, Regina,
Yes.
you know, that whole crew. That's the time we did a lot of shows. We
That
did.
was
We tried to do
successful.
another blue band one, which didn't run as well, but tried to do that as well. Yeah, so that was the era when the shows started kicking in, and it was good. It was different.
Did you
Lots
have
of campaigns.
competitors? Did Omo have any competitors?
Yes, we did. That's the time TOS. TOS had just kicked in. TOS was our biggest challenger brand.
Yes.
Really, really dealing with TOS and everything else. So that's what happened. And then Bidco has started coming in as well. They had Prestige, which they launched against Blue Band.
Okay.
So then I go to South Africa to do this job.
What's the
Royco.
So first of all, in this time you get your second child.
Yes.
Before going to South Africa.
Yes, I have the second child. And
Okay.
literally both girls. So McKenna was born. And then in 5 months, that's when she was 5 months when I went to South Africa. And I had to leave them at first because I had to go and settle down,
Yep.
you know, buy a house, buy furniture, you know, have at least a car. You know, you hire a car in the first month you go, but, you know, just make sure a car, all those things. But the other thing that I did, because I was going to be managing markets across Africa, I needed to go visit them. And so I didn't want to, I didn't want to leave kids in a foreign country and then go travel. So I did those first visits in the 6, 7, 8 weeks that I left them. And it was the toughest time, I won't lie, because came back having everything more or less done, come back now so I can collect the children.
Yes.
At the airport, that little baby of mine who had left at 5 months, gums, she had gums, nothing, has got big teeth, big ones, you know, she's grown teeth in the time that I gone, and she didn't want me.
Oh.
You know, she looked at me, started crying. I'm telling you, for a mother, it's the most,
Wow.
I tell people there are things that you can't forget, and you can't, that hurt, there's a pain that you feel which nobody else can do that. Looking at your child wanting to pick her, and she's like, you know, crying, running away to the maid, to whatever, father take me, you know, but you, hell no, who are you? Who's this stranger? Who's this person? Who's this person who wants to now hold me? So that was tough. So then came collected.
Let me ask.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, that's I'm coming there. This is the second person in leadership.
Yes.
Who's a woman who said that exact same story.
Yeah.
It's like there's sacrifices that have to be made. But before that, this is the first under the marketing manager. This is the first time I'm hearing you managing people.
Yes, I manage
because by the
people
time
then.
now you go to South Africa, it's
Yes,
now
I've got a team. Yes,
you're even
yes.
now you're going regional.
Yes.
But before we get there, I want to understand what's the dynamics of you managing people.
I mean, good. Because you're recruiting. First of all, that's the era I recruited some amazing people. Came in as management trainees, and then went on to grow into the business. They were very, very good. I mean, when I tell people, some of the people who I was marketing manager and they were brand manager, when you think of Isaboke, went on to run MultiChoice.
What?
You know, he was my key brand manager. You know, so went on to be amazing head CEO of so many different things.
Yeah.
So it was a very good experience.
And what
I
were
must
you
admit.
looking for then that you can see is the same traits you'd look for now?
Oh, me, dynamism, initiative. I love initiative. I love people get things done. The fastest way to lose me is to be unreliable.
Wow.
Yeah, undependable. Yeah. I'd rather you sit down and tell me it can't be done or it's going to be done tomorrow, but don't tell me I'm bringing it now and then 2 days later. Yeah. And then you say, oh, this happened, that happened, that happened.
Everyone has excuses.
No, excuses. I tell people that when I commit to doing something, let me tell you, even if I'm dying, I'll do it. I've done things from hospital beds because I made the commitment.
Yeah.
I made the commitment. And that's why it's very difficult for me to commit to things, because I know once I commit to it, Even if it kills me, I'll do it. So by the time I say I'm doing something, I will do it. Actually, the thing that bothers me most is not honoring a commitment I've made. It kills me. I can't do it.
Wow.
Telling people I'll call you back and I haven't called you. Let me just shut up. Why am I saying I'll call you when I know I'm not going to? Just shut up. Don't respond. Don't say you're going to do it.
Yep.
But those are the things that disturb me. So we agreed with you. It was this date.
Yeah.
In my head, I knew it was it.
And even
if something had come, I would have made it happen and then gone to do something. Because, that is what commitments are.
Wow.
Yeah, that is what it
That's
is. My
powerful.
brain always works. I made a commitment. Oh my goodness, if I've double booked, I messed up. My whole brain spends its time trying to figure out how am I going to do all of them. Because I've made the commitment. Yeah.
Wow.
But I'd rather not make a commitment. If I know I'm not going to do it, I won't make the commitment. Don't force me. Once I've said no, I've said no. It's because I can't honor it.
You know it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I love the foundation with which you did it.
Yeah.
What challenges did you have working with people?
I think my biggest challenge, and it's something that I continue to experience, and even when I look at all the other roles that I've had, the biggest one is letting people go. I have done I've been involved in so many reorganizations.
I think you're involved in one now, if I'm not wrong.
No,
It's not.
I finished.
Okay, you were.
I did one in 2023. That was a big one. But that was different in that we weren't letting people go. That was a voluntary exit scheme.
Oh, okay.
Voluntary meaning you chose, you volunteered to go. Last year we had a guided one, much smaller, but I'm done now. I'm not doing any more.
Okay.
That's it. Because I think that the reality is the natural attrition now will do what needs to be done. And it's a question of how do you bring the right time. But when you've got an organization that needs to change, remove fat, fat, I shouldn't say fat because people read it badly, but remove, make it a lot more agile is the question that I'm saying. In a market where margins are shrinking. Revenues are so hard to come by.
Yep.
Growth is so tough. You can't afford to still have the same
formula that worked a couple of years ago.
And also talent is different. You need to have a different talent base. But I think for me, reorganizations is the most painful. And I still remember every single one which somebody refused to understand why it was them. And whatever logic you gave them, I still can see them in their eyes saying, how could you do this to me? It becomes you. How could you do this to me? And I think also the other painful thing is recognizing that when you let go of an African or somebody from an emerging market, you're letting go of 20 people.
Yep.
It's not that individual. Because the support system, what that individual supports is a hell of a lot. And it's that I think bothers me. So that for me is the toughest thing. In any role I've done, it's always been the toughest thing.
How have you been able, though, still in doing that?
To stay human.
Yes. And even because I'm thinking of somebody, and this was my previous self. I hated confrontation to do that, to have to let somebody go. So my growth stage, I just told myself, you've got to learn to confront. So for you, how do you get the big girl pants to do it? What is it that's made?
So what guides me now in anybody that I have to let go for whatever circumstance outside of a structured process like that is evidence. I mean facts, process. Yeah? For me, process is just so fundamental, right? So if, for example, I hear that so-and-so something's happening, I might sit down and ask you, this is what I'm hearing. Is it true? Is this something you want to say? And if you want to say it, by the way, I'll forgive, we move on and we rectify it and do it. But if you deny it, I say, okay, fine, fair enough. Then from that point on, what we're going to look for, what I'm going to look for is the facts to support it. Once I have the facts, then I'm going to go through a process. A completely transparent and open process, which nobody can challenge that you've missed a step or you've done. That for me is very, very important. Because that is why organizations put policies and processes in place. Because that's where you get the fairness. Because at the end of the day, what do you want to do? You have to treat somebody fairly. They're a human being. They also have a life.
Despite
right?
whether they are wrong or...
Whether, even if they've done the biggest wrong, they still have a life. And what you want them to do from that is to learn. A lot of people learn from it. Others just don't. They spend their whole time hating you or doing whatever it is they want. But, you know, you waste so much time when you do that because you don't grow. The best thing is to be introspective of yourself and ask yourself, okay, let me go through this again. Did I bring it upon myself? What could I have done differently? Right? Because the first thing I remember when you do something in a situation like that, somebody starts blaming you. So you sit down like, you ask, but why did you tell me about this? You know, we could have treated it differently if you said, oh, because I didn't trust you. I didn't think you had my back. You know, people throw all sorts of things at you. I said, but you see, in doing that, you've created a worse situation for you. Wouldn't it have been better to have done it that way, since an outcome would have been the same? Stop, introspect and think. Yeah. But once facts are there and it is very, very clear, for me, I've told you, hard and fair. Because there's something called precedence. There's something also called treating everybody fairly. Because if I treat you differently and somebody else does the same thing and I don't treat them like that, they're going to say, why did you favor that person and not me? Yeah. Yeah. So introspection is very, very key. So Richie, if you're doing something where you're messing up, I'll sit down and tell you, Richie, I've heard this, and it's hearsay. I don't depend on hearsay. Is there anything you want to say about it? You sit down like, oh, no, because you're afraid. You're like, oh my God, what's the implication? I said, no, just go and think about it. If there's anything, come, we can talk and figure out it. Then you go away, you don't say anything. Then you deny. And then now, people come and give now hardcore evidence.
Yeah.
What do you want me to do?
Yeah.
Because then there's something called trust. Trust then is broken. Secondly, there's a conversation around what is this thing about integrity?
Yep.
And integrity for me is unquestionable. Where is your integrity? Right? Even if you've stolen, you think that if I admit I've stolen,
I'm over.
It is my integrity. Actually, you're better off stealing and coming and saying, I'm really, really sorry. These are the circumstances under which I stole. I want to be forgiven. It's a mistake I've made. You have more integrity than the person who steals and sits and denies I never ever did. And then evidence comes, is a video camera of you taking it. And then you're like, what is this? No, that thing is, you know, so you're worse off. So it's double. You've broken the integrity double, as opposed to the person who can honestly come. In fact, I'll have so much respect for you if you come and say, this is the reason. This is why I made this mistake.
Yep.
Yeah.
You brought up integrity.
Yeah.
In this, again, I'm still just before you go to SA. You brought up integrity. There's in companies like Unilever, because of the size and the magnitude, there's the gaps for corruption.
Yes.
And questionable integrity.
Yes.
And kickbacks in the name of corruption. Let me just call it what it is. You get?
Yes.
Were you faced with a situation like that where...
In those days, it wasn't that bad, eh?
For real?
The time I faced this, many years later, when I went into my next job at the brewery, I think that is where there was a lot more. But then it's because there was just a lot more money. The budgets were bigger, you know, there was a lot more at stake. That's when I first started to see what it's like, that integrity aspect. That's when I started to see it. But at Unilever, early days, it wasn't what it is today. Like now I hear the stuff that goes on. It's a lot.
And have you fallen victim to it in terms of taken?
Me taking something?
Yes.
You know me, I'm a very proud person. I told you about independence.
Yes.
If you're not going to buy me a pair of shoes, why am I going to take money? So that you can go and tell people you gave me a bribe. Imagine that. I think that's a thing that will kill me. Not anything else.
Yes.
Just the fact that as I'm walking, sitting here with you, smiling, acting all virtuous and Miss Right Girl. Look at this one. We gave her the other day. She's eaten this holiday. I can't. I honestly, that is what gets me. If just a very thought.
I get it.
I can't. Honestly and truly, I can't. That is what gets me more than anything else. I need to hold my head up high. But the bigger thing is, yes, there's a fundamental of my independence, because I also feel the minute you do that, I told you, independence, you're owned by somebody else. The minute you take a bribe, or you're compromised in any way, you're owned by that person. They own you in a way. They own what they can say. Why do you want to allow yourself to be in that space? So you have to be at a different place where you're so thick-skinned, you don't care, and you can deny, and you can deny. But if you can look at me in the face and say, but I can't. I honestly can't. I can't. It freaks me out, but I can't. Honestly. Even if I was broke out.
Let me not even laugh about this. The reason, can I be honest and tell you the reason why I decided to do a whole leadership series is because for me, integrity is the core of the biggest mistakes that we're having with leadership issues in this country.
Exactly.
And I'm not talking about political. I'm just talking about
it catches up with you. It catches up with you.
And I want to show people that there are other people who live this way, who live on the foundation of integrity as one of their leadership principles. So to have you here say that, like, we can end this city now. But I'm serious. You get?
Yeah, but I mean, Richie, if you see when I talked about, I'm going to dial back and talk about values. If one of your values is, as I've said, this value of, I don't know if it's a value, or it's a way of life. Independence is one of your things.
Yeah, it is.
It plays in so many different ways, right? I told you that part of my independence is I don't want to feel somebody's keeping me. I don't want to feel that I can only have something because of somebody else. I don't want to feel that I've been given something I haven't worked for, right? A bribe I've not worked for. I mean, you might tell yourself you're helping somebody, maybe that's why you deserve it. Fair enough. I don't want to have somebody look at me. This is where the Meru now comes in. You know, Merus, we have a bit of pride. Just a bit.
Yeah, I've seen my
Kidogo tu.
It's a little bit.
Just a little bit. And it's just that sense I'm going to be somewhere and somebody's going to attribute who I am because of something they've given me. I can't deal with that. I don't know if people can relate to that, but it's as simple as that. Because if you have given me a bribe, right? Next time you see me in a house somewhere, you see they have that. I gave them 20,000. My 20 million must be some of the things I bought.
Yep.
I can't deal. Yeah. So those are some of the things that probably become my guiding principles and why I've never gone down that path, because of that independence principle.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me see if it's lunchtime. I'm seeing more. Not yet. We still have some time. Now, 15. I can see Mama and Izo looking at me. They give me these eyes. I want to talk about your transition to South Africa. So what leads for you now to get to this place where, do they offer you? Do you ask for it?
Yeah. Remember I'd asked for it.